What happens when the big favors start coming up, like Epstein, protecting your friends, all the corruption that we see?
Well, I mean, we have Operation Mockingbird that really happened. We've got 400 people in major news networks that are just mouthpieces for intelligence. You had journalists that were essentially bagmen. I don't think it ever really ended.
That's what they want to inject into the consciousness of the people. They try to manipulate me.
Of course.
The disinformation agents are everywhere, and also, I mean, I think a lot of people don't even realize that they are disinformation agents. It just, they get fed some bullshit from the government, and then they start talking about it, and they wrap their whole identity around it, and it becomes their identity.
Well, I mean, we have Operation Mockingbird that really happened. We've got 400 people in major news networks that are just mouthpieces for intelligence. And you had journalists that were actually operatives. And their cover was just, I'm a journalist. You had journalists introducing politicians overseas, and you had journalists that were essentially bagmen for the agency overseas, or they would say, you can use my hotel room for that meeting. So that's not 100 years ago, that's 30 years ago. And I don't think it ever really ended. I think that's why this platform is a problem, because you can have that interview, you can smell something that smells funny, and you can say, Darren, let's cut it. But MSNBC doesn't do that. They read it, and it's just out there. So, and you see all the media say the same thing. Fox, they all say the same stuff. There's no one saying, you know what, that didn't feel right, let's cut it. But you can do that here.
Yep.
That's a problem.
We don't cut much. The only time I'll cut something is, we get a lot of military guys that were on high profile missions and stuff like that. And sometimes it's in the moment, it can be hard to know, like, is this still classified? Should I be talking about this? Am I giving up tactics? And so sometimes guys will call in and they'll be like, hey, could we just cut like that one sliver? I said somebody's name, that person is still in, or you know what I mean? And I don't want to blow their cover, stuff like that. I did it with the Sam Shoemate interview where we talked about the Tesla bomber at Trump Hotel in Vegas.
Yep.
We had actually, that guy was on a mission where in Afghanistan, the bomber, he was a Green Beret. He was on a mission where they blew up a big poppy farm and killed a lot of people, a lot of innocent people. And was it the UN or NATO did an investigation on it? I was like, is this shit real? So we looked it up, and sure as shit, there was a UN or a NATO report, I can't remember, on it. And it did actually happen. And one of the DEA operatives reached out to me and was like, I was on that. My name was in that email. Could you please black it out, because I'm still undercover and I'm doing different stuff, and if that comes out, then I'm screwed. And I was like, yep, we'll black the name out. Like, I'm not gonna compromise U.S. intel guys or DEA or military that are still active, because I mean they're doing them.
They don't have an agenda, they're just doing a job.
But so I'll take stuff like that out, but I won't take. And then we just had somebody actually that had somewhat of a relationship with Epstein, and they wanted that pulled out. And I was like, that's like the whole interview. I can't pull that.
You said no.
I said, it's in there, or we're not kicking it out the door.
Okay. Well, you gave them the option.
Yeah. And they were like, okay, put it out. And I was like,
I have to look at that one. I have to watch that one.
It's not out.
Oh.
They said, put it, they're like, okay, fine, put it out. And then they're like, no, just take this. And I was like, just fuck that. We're not dealing with this shit. Like, you come in here, you know what this is. Be ready to do it, or don't come. And so, but that's kind of how I deal with it. But that's how it works, man. That's how it works. It could be one sentence in a several hour long interview, and that's the snippet. That's what they want to inject into the consciousness of the people.
Do you think that changes from administration to administration, or do you think it's operating, I don't want to say shadow government, but it seems like that goes on no matter who's in the White House?
Yeah, I don't think any of these people are good. I don't think they are good people at their core. And I think this just continues to happen. The agendas change, but the tactics don't.
Do you think they think they're good?
I think that they fall into traps and they don't see a way out. And then they just get sucked in.
I can see that. I can understand that.
I think some of them maybe start out. I think there are good ones in there. The only politicians that I really trust is Eli Crane out of Arizona and Tim Burchett out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Those are the only ones that I 99.9% think are good human beings and cannot be swayed.
And those two have been stonewalled by intelligence.
Yep. Yep. I even, when I got approached about running, I called a couple of people, both of those guys I called, and I was like, I want to have an impact. I've been approached about running. What do you think? And they were like, don't do it. And Eli, for an example, he's like, I can't get on any of these fucking committees. He's like, they won't put me on any of these committees because I won't play ball.
Right.
And he goes, if you can't get into the committees, you're just a beat suit in a chair. You have no impact. And on top of that, they said, what you're doing now has way more impact than you ever could have if you were to get into office. So I decided I'm not doing it. And then diving into it more, I do. I think that's how they're controlled. And being, going like at the beginning when we were talking about the entertainment industry, which I hate, it's you start to see like they want you to talk about this subject. They want you to talk about that subject. They don't want you to talk to this person. And it's like, your job is to fucking get me business, not talk about who I talk to or what I talk about. Go get business. Don't fucking interfere with my show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got rid of all of them. And I start to see it again, like I said, with politicians. You come in here, I think we share, at the beginning, some of the ones that I brought on, and a lot of these people weren't even on the radar to get picked up at the administration, so I didn't know. I didn't even know their aspirations. They were just good guests to get. But, now that I've created this network within politics, they try to manipulate me.
Of course.
And it can be hard to get a phone call from somebody very powerful that wants you to do something. And I just ghost them now. In fact, I'm getting ready. I had told you I get so paranoid about it that it sent me down this rabbit hole. I had to find the black phone that can't be traced. I found it, but it's going to be a big step to be untraceable. A really big step to be untraceable.
Yeah.
If you don't have a phone number, that's how you do it.
And if you don't have a phone number, I think the Patriot Act would find you relevant for investigation.
Well, I'm going to try it. So, but, and then, we're developing, the phone's very expensive and so anyways, we're developing an app that's more consumer friendly that doesn't have all the features that the phone has, but it's enough and, to make you invisible.
I would like to learn more about that at some point.
I'll tell you about it offline.
Okay.
I can't go too far into it quite yet.
They don't want that app coming out.
But it's happening. We're doing it. But yeah, I think what happens is that they fall into these traps, not realizing they're a trap. That's where I was going in the entertainment industry. There's also traps. There's these favors. I did this for you. You didn't do that. You didn't do shit for me. I could have connected with that person on my own.
Right.
I didn't fucking need you. Go get business. But it becomes this favor brokering thing. And what I see, and this is very recent, is I see how minuscule the favors are. And it's like, this person helped me do this, so you shouldn't talk to this person about this. And it's like, that person was just doing their fucking job, man. That's not a favor. That's their job.
Right.
Is to get your ass in there. That's not a favor. And so if the favors start at that minuscule of a level, then what happens when the big favors start coming up, like Epstein protecting your friends, shit like all the corruption that we see happening. And I think they get so wrapped up in these favors and they get trapped, and then it gets more evil and more evil and more evil, and they don't see a way out, and they get addicted to power, really addicted to power, and they are controlled through favors, blackmail, shit like that.
Don't do favors. I never ask favors. I was teasing Jeremy about it, just offering all kinds of great stuff, contacts,
Can't.
whatever. I said, I don't ask favors because when I do, I really need it. But I don't ask favors.
That and those favors, yeah. I don't ask for favors either.
No. But when you do, it's like, oh, he really needs a hand here.
Yep.
Have you seen guests you've had on other shows that you released and realized you got burned?
How so? What do you mean?
Meaning like you let an episode go out and this person shows up on another show or two and you're like, ah, God damn it, they got me.
What do you mean they got me? As a husband and a dad, I think a lot about responsibility. We train for the unexpected in so many areas of life, but a lot of people don't prepare financially for the one thing none of us can control. If something happens to me tomorrow, I want to know my family isn't scrambling. That peace of mind matters. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today. Made for busy parents like you, all online, on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. If you've got kids, especially if you're young and healthy, the time to lock in low rates is now. And even if you have coverage through work, it might not be enough. And it usually doesn't follow you if you leave your job. Fabric has flexible, high-quality policies that fit your family and your budget, like $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. They've also partnered with Gerber Life, trusted by millions of families for over 50 years. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/srclips. That's meetfabric.com/srclips. meetfabric.com/srclips. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
They got that one line out.
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't really watch any other shows.
Okay.
So like I said, I get all of my information through this. Not all of it, but the I scroll enough to get interest in certain subjects. I'm not fucking around. You are the only, the Y-Files is the only YouTube channel that I watch on a consistent basis. But I don't do it. And also I don't want to take somebody else's creativity, because when you start to watch all this other stuff, it's like, oh, I should be doing that. I don't want that. I want everything here to be organically generated, the set, everything, and it's my creation. It's what me and my team have come up with, not we need to be more like this guy or we need to be more like this guy. So now I haven't seen a one-liner, and it would be impossible to pick out because a lot of times they're talking about the same shit. But so no, it's just a thought that'll hit me like a bolt of lightning all of a sudden, and it's like, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have known. You couldn't have known it was a mistake at the time.
Especially if they're really good at it.
It's in retrospect that you see it.
It's a very strange position that you're in. I don't envy it.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress and anxiety.
I bet. Just with the things I do is stress enough, but this is serious what you do here. I'm just an entertainer. At least that's, I just talk to a fish is my line.
Yeah, well, you're kicking a lot of rocks over. That can be dangerous.
There's a lot of centipedes under there.
Yep.
I try not to. I name names if I don't have to. I mention Clapper because that infuriates me, but I try not to criticize anyone who's like around. I'm not looking to make enemies. I'm not looking to embarrass anybody or out anybody.
Hmm.
When I talk about the conspiracies and the alien stuff, the only names I really name are like the guys who say they were in the Marines and they did this thing like stolen valor is. I'm wired to not like that, so I'll just name your names. But otherwise, nah, not looking to make waves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've had a couple of stolen valor guys on. In fact, one of them, the Army is investigating that person on stolen valor. And if it comes out, I'm waiting for the official investigation to run. But if it comes out, then I'll have to make some kind of a statement or something. But
Because you released that episode?
yeah, yeah. But that person's been around for a long time. I got a lot of flack afterwards. This person came on, and then all these other people started diving into his background, and it's caused it's been a huge pain in my ass. But I can't, I can't verify, somebody's service account.
No.
That would take months, maybe years, to track everybody down that was there. And it makes me sick that somebody would do that. But, my argument, I got approached by somebody. My argument was, well, I see you coming at me and you're fucking blaming me for platforming this person. How would I have known that? And, but so it's great. You want to hold me accountable. Why don't you hold the fucking U.S. Army accountable?
Right.
That would be the right thing to do because I'm just a podcaster. This person is still in. And so don't you think that the U.S. Army should be held accountable for sending a guy out and spreading bullshit, fucking stolen valor lies?
Was he
I
sent
never
out
thought of that.
by the
Maybe you
Army?
should fucking think about that.
He was sent out by the Army?
He wasn't sent out by the Army, but he's still in.
Yeah,
But they took that, suggestion that I did, and they got in touch with whoever at the Army, and now the Army has actually opened an investigation on this person.
well, good.
So, yeah, but
People think maybe we, and certainly you, should be doing more background than we do. And it's like, because I get things wrong all the time. And I just try to be as honest as possible. Like, I'm not an expert on any of this. No, I didn't look into this person's background since the beginning. So, yeah, that whole thing was bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to entertain.
yeah,
You can't track down all of these people and their entire background. We just never get anything done.
yeah, exactly. And back to my previous point, whether it's stolen valor or not, and it very likely is, that's not affecting somebody's decision making.
No.
So it's a, fictional novel that you're listening to instead of, actual events that happen. Now, it does really fucking piss me off because if you did that, that takes away from every other, heroic icon that sat across from me in that chair, and that's disgusting. But, but did it affect somebody's decision making throughout the day? No, it didn't. No matter where you're watching the Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this at all, anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, head to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a review.